Welcome to video 7%. Now take a look at the percent sign on the board. Can you think of what this percent sign means? Can you think of it? I know there's somebody out there who has the number 100 in their mind. If you're thinking 100, you're thinking along the right track, because this percent sign means that. So if we have 45%, we mean 45 over 100. If we have 35%, we mean 35 over 100. If we have 760%, we mean 760 over 100. Now I'm going to show you a few different things, and then we're going to learn how to solve percent problems, so get ready. So percent means 100 with that dividing line. What happens if we wanted to change 35%? What if we want to change 35% to a decimal? Does anybody know what to do? I know somebody out there does. How about we drop the percent sign and then add the decimal place and then move the decimal 2 places to the left? And that's changing 35% into 35 hundredths. And how about if we have 45% and we wanted to change that to a decimal? We drop the percent, add a decimal place, and move it 2 places to the left. So 45% would equal 45 hundredths, or 45 hundredths. And what if we had 45 hundredths and we wanted to change it to a percent? What would we do? Well, we'd move it 2 places to the right and add a percent sign. Move it 2 places to the right and add a percent sign. And 35 hundredths? The same. We move the decimal place 2 places to the right and add a percent sign. You got the idea? That's how we change a percent to a decimal, and a decimal to a percent, and a percent to a fraction. Of course, we would have to reduce those fractions. Let's take a look at how to change a fraction to a percent. Well, first we're going to change a fraction to a decimal. And what are we going to do? We're going to divide 5 into 3. And in order to do that, we're going to add a decimal place and add 2 zeros. We're trying to change 3/5 into a percent. So we're going to bring our decimal place right up here, and we're going to divide. 5 into 30 goes 6, and 5 into 0 is 0. So 3/5 would equal 60 hundredths, or 60%. There's another way we could do that. We could say 3/5 equals hundredths. And then we could divide 5 into 100, divide the bottom, multiply the top, and we would get 20, and 20 times 3 is 60. And 60 hundredths equals 60%. So that's how we change percents all around. I want to show you one more, and I think this is a little challenging. So get ready, get ready. We're going to change 33 1/3% into a common fraction. Now, 33 1/3%. This percent sign means this. It means 33 1/3 over 100. But this is a very complex fraction. Here's a mixed number and a fraction. Oh, it's so complicated. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, and this is a dividing line. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide. We're going to say 33 1/3 divided by 100. And 33 1/3, we're going to change that. Remember, we multiply and add. 33 times 3 is 99, plus 1 is 100 thirds, divided by 100 over 1, which would equal 100 thirds, flip over the second number, change to multiply, times 1 over 100, and we could cancel, and we get 1/3. Now, I know that's a little challenging. You'll have some practice in the workbook, but that's not what I want to spend a lot of time on today. What I want to spend a lot of time on in this video is teaching you how to solve percent problems. Now, when I first learned how to solve percent problems, I had to change the percent into either a decimal or a fraction. But not anymore. There are many new techniques out, and I'm going to show you one of our newest techniques so that you don't have to worry about changing percents to decimals or fractions. We're back again. So here we go. Let me tell you a few things. First of all, with the technique I'm going to show you, there's no changing. The second thing I want to tell you is that there are 4 things in any percent problem. There's 100%, there's the percent, there's the part, and there's the whole. And when we do a percent problem, we usually like to fit it into one of these kind of crosses here. So let me give you an idea of a percent problem, and let me also tell you another thing. Whenever you see the word what, they want to know what's the answer. If it says what percent, they're looking for the percent. Many times in number percent problems, the number after of is the whole. If you see 13% of 60, the number after of is the whole. So 60 is after of, and that's the whole. I want you to remember that. And if it says of what, that means we're looking for the whole. If it says what percent, we're looking for the percent. Okay. I know this sounds a little confusing, but after we do a few of these problems, I think you're going to be an expert at doing percent. Are you ready? Here's one problem. What is 20% of 65? Here's a problem. What is 20% of 65? And here are the 4 things in my percent problem. There's a percent, 100%, the whole, and the part. Now, I told you when dealing with numbers, number problems, and percent, the number after of is the whole. So here's of 65. 65 is the number after of. And so it's going to go right here, 65. And 20%, why, it has a percent sign. So it's going to go right here. And what are we looking for? Well, we're looking for the part. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to solve it yet, because we're going to do a couple more, and then I'll show you how to solve it. Let's take another problem. Let's take 13 is what percent of 65? 13 is what percent of 65? Now, here it is. Here's my question. What percent? What percent? I'm looking for the percent. The number after of is the whole. Here's the number after of. Here it is right here. It doesn't want to, there it is. So I'm going to put 65 right there. I still can't get that to look like a 5. There we go. 65. And then 13, well, we're looking for the percent. It's not the whole. It must be the part. So 13 is what percent of 65? I'm going to put it into this apparatus here, and I'll show you how to solve it in a few minutes. So get ready. Now let's do one more. How about 20%? 20% of what is 13? 20% of what is 13, or of what number is 13? So 20% will go where the percent sign is. The number after of is the whole, but it doesn't have a number. It says of what? So that means I'm looking for the whole. And 13, it must be the part. Are you ready to learn how to solve this problem? Here it goes. What we're going to do is we're going to multiply the diagonals and divide by the other number. We're going to multiply the diagonals and divide by the other number. We're going to multiply the diagonals and divide by the other number. Let's do it. Here we go. Here is what is 20% of 65. We're multiplying the diagonals. So we're going to multiply 20 times 65. And what are we going to get? Well, we're going to get 1,300. And then what are we going to do? We're going to divide by this other number. So we're going to divide 100 into 1,300. We'll go 13 times. So what's the part? Oh, the part is 13. What is 20% of 65? 20% of 65 is 13. 13, that's what it is. Got the idea? Let's go on and do another one. Let's erase this and go on and do another one. Here, 13 is what percent of 65? We're going to multiply the diagonals and divide by the next number. So 13 times 100 is going to give me, 1,300. And what am I going to do with 1,300? I'm going to divide by the other number. So 65 into 1,300 is going to go, 20 times. So what percent? 13 is what percent of 65? What percent is it? It's 20%. 20%. Let's do one more. Here we are. It says 20% of what is 13? We're going to multiply the diagonals and divide by the next number. Now 13, as you know, times 100 is going to give us 1,300. Now we need to divide by the other number. So 20 into 1,300 is going to be, 65. So what's the whole? The whole is 65. Got the idea? Remember, in any percent problem, we have the percent, we have the part, we have the whole, we have 100%. You want to plug the right numbers into this, and then you want to multiply the diagonals and divide by the other number. So let's erase the board, and let's do a percent word problem. And I think you'll get the idea. There we go. We have our cross here, and we say 100%, and this is a percent, and this is a part, and this is the whole. Now, let's say that there are 80 students in my class, 80 students. And of these 80 students, 90% love mathematics. And all the rest just like them. And I want to know how many is 90%? How many students love math? And how many students just like math? You ready? Okay. The whole amount of students in my class, the whole amount of students is 80. So it's going to go in the wholes place. Whole amount of students is 80. 90% of these students love math. They love it. So how many students love math? I'm going to multiply the diagonals and divide by 100. Multiply the diagonals and divide by 100. So let's do it. 80 times 90 is 7,200. And then I'm going to divide by 100. And I'm going to get 72 students love math. 72 students love math. Now, if 72 students love math, how many students just like math? Well, there are 80 students in the class, and 72 love math. So if I subtract 72 from 80, I'll find out that 8 like math. Got the idea? Let's do one more problem. One more problem before you do your homework, and I think that you'll be able to do percent problems very, very well. Here we go. Percent, 100%. Here's the part, and here's the whole. Now, let's say that there are 30 pencils in my desk. 30 pencils in my desk. And 20% of them need to be sharpened. And I want to know how many pencils need to be sharpened. So the whole amount of pencils in my desk is 30. So I'm going to put 30 here. And then 20% need to be sharpened. Here's the percent sign, so I'm going to put 20 here. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for how many pencils is 20%. I'm looking for the part that need to be sharpened. And what am I going to do? I'm going to multiply the diagonals and divide by the other number. Multiply the diagonals and divide by the third number. Now let's do it. Here I have 20 times 30 is 600, and 100 divided into 600 is 6. So 20% of 30 is 6 pencils that need to be sharpened. 6 pencils need to be sharpened. How many pencils don't need to be sharpened? Well, that's 30 minus 6. There are 30 pencils in my desk, and 6 need to be sharpened. How many don't? Oh my, here we go. 24 pencils don't need to be sharpened. You get the idea? Well, I want you to practice, and I want you to practice a lot. This is the Learn Math Quickly Workbook 2. I'd like you to do Part 1, which is pages 26 through 28, and Part 2, which is 29 to 31. And I'd also like you to take a look on page 32, which is right here. There's a review sheet. All the changing that I did in the beginning of this video shows you all those kind of things that we went over. And they have some review pages too, so you can change back and forth. But remembering that if you use this technique, you won't have to change back and forth. It's always good to know how to do it anyway. And then what I'd like you to also see is on page 35, you'll see a decimal percent drill. It's a decimal and percent drill. So if you've forgotten some of your decimals, you can give yourself a review. So good luck with your homework, and I get ready to see you for video number 8.